It's preparing to live stream. And I'm watching a progress bar, done, redirecting to YouTube. There we are. Okay, welcome to the Rchain active members meeting on the 18th of April 2018. It's going to be a quiet meeting because we have the dev conference going on, and right now it's the middle of the day in Colorado, so I don't think we're going to have a lot of people joining this meeting. Just doing some logistics. Tony, you're the host again, so we should be streaming, but you're the host, so if anybody else joins, you can promote them to panelists. And oh, hang on a minute. Okay, well, we're just going to keep it in another screen. I've got two browsers going, and this is the one that's sharing, and actually what I'll do is I'll post the URL of the agenda into chat. So you're welcome to follow along in here, and yeah, we actually need someone who can be the scribe, but we only have a few people here, and I see that Ojimadhu will be right back. So, well, let me just babble a little bit so that we can make some progress. And the first thing on the agenda is actually from last time, which is something that Ian posted, which he posted during the flow of the meeting, and we never actually got to it, but there have been terms of service published for the bounty system, and these were written by Rchain Legal, and they were approved by the board, but without any instruction. So there's a whole lot of questions here that haven't been answered yet. And I don't think that we three are going to figure it out today. And since HJ is on vacation, it's probably the wrong day to try to figure something out. But I'll just show you some steps that I've taken to move in the right direction. And one of them is this Rchain task form doc, which looks like this. So it has a name of the submitter and a description, and describe how it'll help Rchain and the cost and timeline. And this looks a lot like a GitHub issue. So what I did as an experiment is I created a new issue, and I sort of stuck in a template where the text in italics here and here is from this form. So it fits perfectly into a GitHub issue. We even have a kind of like legal signature at the end that contains the stuff about the rock and the security. And I haven't changed it yet, but we could make this the template, and then we'd be satisfying this particular aspect of the terms of service. There's another aspect. I see Jim is here. And he's been promoted. Oh, great. Okay. Thank you. So this is all working. The terms of service stipulate that there's a committee. I guess that would be this document, which, well, you can read it. This is all open to the world. Let me paste the URL in both the records and for the record in the chat. Oh, wait a minute. That went to somebody privately. Okay, this one goes to everybody. So you can see them here. And the document talks about there being a kind of task approval committee or something. Yes, task approval committee here. And this is kind of problematic because we would have to create another committee, and people don't really like being on committees. They're a volunteer position. I'm on another committee, so I don't want to be on yet another.
Yeah, I think the committees are all floundering because people don't have the energy to participate or something. Certainly it's true with governance.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not certain about what to do with this. There's one,
you know, this is centralized.
yes.
And isn't that exactly what we do not want to do?
Yes.
So why are we doing this?
Well, we're actually trying to balance it. It's, I mean, we've gotten a directive from the board to follow these terms of service, but they also didn't stipulate anything specific. And I know that Dan had some interpretations that made it a lot less problematic. And my own particular desire is that we can keep our current tools as opposed to retooling into a centralized application or situation. So that's actually why I changed this GitHub template. And as far as the committee goes and not being centralized, then we also have already the idea of people who participate and they vote. And so per issue, we have a committee of sorts. And in order for the budget to be valid, we need 3 people. In this case, we have 4. And maybe this can function as the committee.
You know, I was wondering if, if there's pushback on that. I think that's fine. I think it's wonderful. I like that interpretation.
Yeah. Well,
but if there's pushback on that, we could require a certain trust metric.
Yes. Yeah.
For it to be a valid committee.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking also. So it means that you need to have at least one person with, where is it here, the Community Trust Network. It means you need to have at least one person with a certain level of trust in order for it to be valid. And I think that would be perfectly reasonable. So if I just zoom in on this now, then here we have these different trust levels. And so we would have to say, well, in order for this to be a valid committee or something, then there would have to be a certain level of trust within the committee, and well, we could figure that out with some sort of number or something.
Yeah, well, if you just took the number and the times that are in there, that gives you a number, and you know that issue certainly will have a high amount of trust.
Yep.
For you to put those numbers in there.
Yep. Exactly. So yeah, our thinking is definitely in the right direction, running parallel here, because this allows us to continue to use GitHub as the overview, and it integrates with our trust network and rewards tool. And well, as you all know, in the rewards tool, then there is a way to put a budget in. So if I search for this issue, then here it is. And something's funky with the rewards app. So it used to be that if you clicked it, it would show down below, but now you have to do it this way. So here in the budget votes, then you would expect to see budget votes from these 4 people who are assigned to the issue, for instance. And then everything would be synchronized, and we'd have approval on the issue. And I don't know, maybe we'd need to make a label or something that says issue approved or whatever. I don't know. But this is my thinking for trying to keep a decentralized approach, but still satisfy some of the worrying that is evident in the terms of service. So let's think about it. I mean, if this idea can fly, then we would remove these question marks that we see in the agenda. So the task approval committee will be per issue, and is system compliant would be yes.
Awesome.
Okay, well, we will try to move this forward, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll take till next week when HJ is back and the DevConf is over, and we can talk to more people. But that's the thinking right now. Let me move on.
This dovetails very nicely with the self-sovereign tech stack that I'm working on, that we're working on. I'm going to enter an issue on it, but it'll really give us good utility in terms of using GitHub along with our other backends to essentially build a self-sovereign front end, ultimately for Rchain as the back end, with GitHub as a stand-in. But in fact, I'll put the address into the chat, and in the notes, if I can find them. The note document's no longer in the calendar item, which HJ accidentally deleted last week. I re-added it, but I didn't put a link to the notes.
Okay. You sent that to me privately, Jim. Do you want it to be to everybody?
Yeah, I think maybe to everyone. Thanks for noticing that.
Yeah, I don't know why Zoom sort of defaults to private lately, but that happened to me earlier too. Okay, that's
I
everybody.
think for this webinar thing, it defaults to private.
Oh, maybe that's it. Okay. So, let me copy link. Okay.
I want to ask a question based on the TOS. If I get you right, you said you'll be establishing a committee to approve the tags on GitHub.
Yeah, you're coming through a little rough, Tony, but if I understood you right, then that's my plan, is to to shape things so that we continue to use GitHub as our tool.
Okay.
But we add a little more formality, I guess, into the process. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Another question is, does that also affect the budgeting in the sense that can your budget be tampered with based on what the committee think is right? What I'm trying to say is, for instance, let's say you have a budget of 2,000 and somebody feels it's not justified. Can the person just go tamper with it, or can give you a plan on why he or she is doing that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
What I mean is, you also need to get the approval of the budget from the committee as well, right?
Ah, right.
Okay.
Yes, that's the the terms of service. They actually do a two-step process. You're right, and the first step is to get approval for the idea, you could say, and and then after it's approved, then people can put in a bid, just like contractors building a building or something, and say, I would like to do this. And I'm hoping we can merge that to one thing, where when somebody posts an issue, they also put in a budget, and that budget is also a bid. So when it's approved, then there is already one bid, so to speak. And if other parties want to collaborate, then that's what we want. We want them to collaborate on that single bid. And they could also submit a different bid. And so we might have two teams that are submitting two bids, which then need to be I don't know, it becomes a competition. But I really don't see that as appropriate for our situation. And I prefer the idea that if there are numerous people that want to work on it, then they all collaborate together as opposed to...
Together. Yes, I think that's a welcome idea too. It's good like that.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that we can steer things that way, but of course we will leave it open so that if, I don't know, I mean, imagine that there's a translation project and there really are two completely different teams that want to do it themselves and they don't want to collaborate. Well, in that case, then it would become more like the commercial process in the terms of conditions where there would be two bids for the same project or something, but that would only be a worst case scenario type thing.
Yeah, I can see how we could handle that in the longer term. If I see a project with a $10,000 budget and I think it can be done for $3,000 budget, somehow I can promote it for alternate bids or something. But that's, I think for now, the process is flexible in that, you can propose anything in a comment to the issue in GitHub. As an alternative, suggesting some alternative or justification of the budget.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have a GitHub issue, and the discussion and commentary and agreements or disagreements, they can all happen in that issue. So I think for now we can just let that be the place where the communication happens. And well, if at some point we have some strong disagreements with competing teams or something, then we can also always react to that. But in the meantime, let's hope that it works more collaboratively as opposed to competitively.
That's nice.
Okay. Oh, good. And I see Ojimaru is back. I was kind of waiting for you before moving on to the next item. Well, just to round off this discussion of the terms and conditions, I think I'll put some notes in the minutes that briefly describe what we all discussed, and it'll be a bit vague, but we'll leave things open for the next meeting when we have more people, and maybe we can figure some other things out in the meantime. We meaning the four of us who are here today. So let me move to the next item, which is the member site being under construction. And we have that here. So this is a WordPress instance with a default theme that was set up by Jeremy and Ian, and then worked on a bit by Dan and some other people. And now I have access, and Ojimadu and Peter in Bali has access. So we can work on it. And some of the stuff is already pretty much there, like this get involved is an example where I just took some existing content that I found elsewhere and plugged it in, and plugged in the video that I forget his name, crypto video in South Africa made. So this page is okay. Membership is waiting. We have to figure out what we're going to do with this KYC app, but this page could basically be instructions about what do you need. You need to have your passport on hand and this and that. And the support page, which is actually contact or something, I expect we're going to need support for the KYC app. And there's also the idea that you could contact a greeter via this app, or via this site, which would then meet you in Discord, I think. So that's here. I mean, the actual contact information needs to be finalized, but I put it in there. we have a calendar page, but there's no data in it. So this is something that we're going to have to work on. But the problem is we have calendars in different pieces here and there. There is no master calendar for Rchain, and that's something that I'm actually trying to take up with Patrick, but there's no.
Well, there is a calendar, but currently I'm the owner of it, and you know, there's a good number of people now that have admin rights to the calendar, and that may be one. You know, there may be people that want to cut that down. I went over it with Ian, and I believe that, you know, he agrees with using that as the official Rchain calendar.
Is that a Google Calendar?
Google Calendar, yeah.
Can you share it with me or with us?
Sure.
Because, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to start to do it now, but this page uses a plugin that accesses a Google Calendar. And so if I can get the subscription address of that calendar, then I can make this calendar pull in that data.
Yeah.
And if it could be that simple, that would be wonderful. I mean, the idea is that, yeah, for potential new members, when they go to this page, they see all the important activity that's going on with the cooperative. So
I just made you an admin of the calendar.
okay.
I'm surprised you weren't in there already. Now, which address? Okay, the public URL of this calendar is.
Okay, well, I'll probably get an email then if you made me an admin, so that then I can go in there and get the subscription address. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Jim, there's this calendar I have that it comes up. It has new Rchain programming and some recurring events. I don't know how updated it is, but I suppose you might be the person behind the calendar or something. I don't know if it's the same calendar you're using.
it doesn't look like there's anything on that calendar.
Okay, I think I'll use this link you sent and check if it's the same, if it's the same calendar.
They have embed code. They have the public address in ICAP format. Okay, this link I gave you said New York time. You want to take that off. You want it to be the local time zone.
Yeah, okay. I'll worry about that later. It's fine now.
This is the iCal format, the ICS file.
Oh, great. All right. Then let me copy both of those. And for now, I'll just stick them in the minutes. Okay, good. Then later, I will try to subscribe to this calendar here. And if it works, then we should see all this stuff showing up, which would be great. And then, yeah, well, this becomes the calendar. And if it was that simple, that would be really nice.
Yeah, except that HJ deleted several items that need to be beefed up. Like the Casper, we need to give the information, whatever we should give there, about where people should access it and such.
Okay.
And this meeting. And I can, I guess, help do that, do some of that, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, well, this is this meeting. So, yeah, well, it's going to require some maintenance, the calendar, but a lot of the stuff is repeating events. So once we get some links in there, oh, sorry, this is showing up in Dutch, but yeah, whatever. This says more information.
I wonder if it'll show up in Dutch for everyone, huh?
No, I'm pretty sure that's just Chrome. My browser is trying to be helpful here. So if your browser is in English, it should show up in English. Okay, well, more information. There's not a lot more information, but we know that now. Okay, hey, great. That fixes something. So
now, can you access the real calendar at the bottom corner or something? I don't see it here.
Well, actually, I'm not logged into Google in the browser that I'm sharing right now. So
I think you can add the calendar from this address anyway. But
okay.
I would take the when you embed that, I would take off the New York.
Right.
You know, the end part of the URL.
Okay. Yeah, events shown in Eastern time. Okay, you guys can't see it, but I'm looking at it in Firefox now, and that's showing up in English. And yeah, I probably have to accept an email or something in order to, hey, Makis, Amaka, hi.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah, you can try adding this URL.
Welcome, Mikey.
Right in Google Calendar.
Yeah, yeah, I will do exactly that. It's I'm not logged in here, and I don't want you guys sitting around watching me work. But I'll do that later, and if it works, then I'll definitely cheer and let you know. Actually, I'll post it in this issue, which is kind of dealing with content. Well, not this issue, but another issue that's dealing with the content for the member site. So, okay, well, hopefully then this calendar page will get cleared up. And the one thing which needs work is this about section. And the about section is it goes deeper than just one level. It has lower level pages and things. And we can't see it in the navigation, but if you're an editor like Ojimadu, then I've already added the pages in the right structure. So we have a page about co-op structure and we have a page about governance, but they're empty now. So these things need to be filled up.
Just a quick observation. I see it's kind of trivial anyways. I see co-op spelled with a hyphen, and I also see without the hyphen.
Yeah. Technically, it should have the hyphen, because otherwise it looks like a chicken coop. So here, you know, it's a question. Well, it's capitalized, so when people read this, they might say co-op. But if it wasn't capitalized, then it would be coop, like a chicken coop.
Well, there's a lot of words that have multiple pronunciations. I think the where you require the dash is where it could be ambiguous.
Yes.
And I think, you know, by spelling it out at the top of the page, it's not ambiguous.
Yeah, could be. I mean, it's also, if it's capitalized, then that also gives you a hint that it's a co-op as opposed to a coup. So it could be that we might decide that, okay, when you're talking about the co-op, it should always be capitalized, but it doesn't have to be hyphenated. I mean, it's a trivial thing, but it's also important in terms of consistency.
Yeah, I know some people are very particular about it. Sometimes I, kind of get particular about it. Like when I see Rchain spelled as, capital R and then a smaller letter C, it's like,
Right.
okay, this is not in line with the brand, So I don't know, but that is a different discussion. Maybe let's get to the meat of the site and then we can figure out the formatting later on. But just bear in mind.
So no, it's definitely an issue that is on a higher level.
Yeah, maybe a branding issue.
Yeah, that could be actually. Yeah, maybe we should just delegate it to branding. What happened?
We can be done with the meat of the site and then later on do an exercise to do a cleanup. Because I don't know that we have a branding official manual to say, hey, this is how we want to texturize, our communication and all of that.
Right.
But that should be, a task that we should do because we need to project quality in all that we do. So we can have a very solid platform and then our website is just not it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Okay, well, on screen, I have the short-term member site document where we created these sitemap hierarchies. And this is the last one. And it's been edited so that stuff in gray, like principles and values of the co-op, it doesn't exist yet. So we're not going to have it in the first release of the member site. But we can have co-op structure. We can have some of the governance. We won't have voting and petitioning, and such. So this structure in this document is what we see here, actually. Although here, it's only the stuff that is meant to be in the first release, and other things will follow. So if anybody wants to work on this, then that's possible. A lot of the content already exists. It's just a question of reformatting it and getting it ready to go. So, I mean, Ojimadu and I are both planning to work on it, but we haven't gotten to it yet.
my PC actually had power problems. I couldn't power it on for days. So I had to take it to an engineer to fix it. But it's done now. I think I would give that a look maybe tomorrow.
Okay. Well, that'll be good. And I have a little bit of other news. This site is a default WordPress site with a default theme, and it doesn't really look like Rchain. But I found somebody in my network who is an experienced web developer, and he knows WordPress. So he's going to be working with us to get this site looking like an Rchain site as opposed to a default WordPress site. And he just kind of came on board today. You might have seen a posting in GitHub, but he's going to be doing some work. His name is Martin, and we'll hear his name in the coming week or so. So hopefully that'll push things along in terms of getting the member site looking like an Rchain site. So we have 10 minutes. Let me quickly do the last item for me, which is this one, where we're running a Lumio poll about translation languages. And if you haven't filled it in, then please do so. Right now, these are the results. And so you can see the Chinese is way on top with 273 votes, followed by Japanese, Spanish, Russian, German, Korean, French, Italian, and Greek, and on down the list. So there are links to this poll in Discord, in the members channel, and also on GitHub. And if you haven't filled it in, then please do, because a lot of the people who filled it in are translators who want to translate. So there might be a bit of a bias there. I'm not sure, but we need as many people to fill it in as possible. And it doesn't say here how many filled it in, but I looked yesterday and I think it was like 23 people or something, which isn't that many.
Hold on a second as you scroll down the side. Is this correct to say that the names of people who voted, they're being shown?
Yes.
So this is not an anonymous vote?
No, it's not.
Why is that?
Well, it could be anonymous. It's an option, but when I set the poll up, I didn't turn it on.
Okay.
For the purposes of understanding the sentiment of the group and for cooperating normally in Lumio, the groups don't want to be anonymous. They want people to know their opinion. We want opposing views to be expressed and justified, or concerns raised. So for the decision process itself, it's better to not be anonymous. We're not. We're dealing in a trust community.
So just to be a little bit clear, I don't know who's deciding that we want to do this. When you say the group, are you talking of Lumio, or are you talking of the Rchain community?
The Rchain community.
When it comes to polling, I understand the reason why we will want to do this, but I think when we vote in a place like this, I struggle to agree with that, because transparency is understanding how something works, not necessarily a lack of privacy thereof, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, there is a lot of context that goes into play when I vote for Chinese and then patterns begin to build up, and I don't know, but I think we should maybe talk about future votings and seeing how much we want this to be open and how it can lead to inclusion or lack of thereof.
Yeah.
If we're doing a deciding poll, well, first of all, we have to restrict it to members.
Mm-hmm.
But in the deciding poll, we don't want people to have social pressure. We want to use an anonymous vote for most things. But
yeah, you really hit the nail on the head. The social pressure is what I was referring to. And sometimes what we decide within ourselves can be, trivial and not result to social pressure. In the long run, it may lead to social pressure. This might be trivial, but, when we begin to tie pieces together in terms of voting and seeing the patterns of the person, and then the person wants to actually run for office tomorrow, it just may get a little bit complicated. Yeah. So we should pay attention and look at the big picture and think about implications for the future, not just today. So standalone, it might be trivial, but when you piece things together, it might begin to, you know, result to a pattern we may not want to start generating.
Yeah. On the screen right now, I'm making a new poll, and this is the option to make it anonymous.
Yeah. So another point, just sorry, Kate, is if we want to really make it open, there should be a real need for that. But if I don't really see that need, because at the end of the day, we want to use this to inform, you know, how we steer people or the amount of resources we're going to put in one place or the other, which is a big decision, in my opinion. Yeah. So this is not just a fanfare, you know, come, let me know what you think and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, from the point,
aggregate is fine to share and not just people's individual. Okay.
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure that a vote would supersede, you know, where are the, you know, how many speakers does the language have is a factor. Okay. This vote is just one of the factors.
Okay. We have 3 minutes. Does anybody have any other points that we want to get showing up or on the discussion for next time?
Okay, Kate, I wanted to ask, can the link be posted on the chat so that I can have a look? I wasn't really aware of the Lumo pool or the translation language.
I didn't understand that. Maybe somebody else did.
Are you referring to the link for the Lumio?
Yes, the link for the Lumio.
Oh, he said it's on Discord in the member channel. Is that correct?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, hang on a minute. If I can move quickly, I can find it and post it in the chat too. Right, okay, I found it. Hang on a second. Okay, now it's in the chat. And I'll put it in the minutes as well. Okay. I think we're good. The debrief is starting in 1 minute. So if nobody has any last minute points, I think we can round off the meeting.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks for attending, everybody.
Sure. Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, ciao.
Okay.